Hey guys, how you doing? This is Bill Giannone. Just wanted to share with you a couple of brief ideas about your finances. One of the hardest things that we deal with in the restoration world is cash flow. I mean, we all know it's a major problem, and getting enough money to be able to operate during the slow times is really the magic. And how do we do that? How do we make sure that we've got enough money for the slow times and we don't pull it all out when it's going really well? How do we manage that money? It's not an easy process. One of the hardest things to do is to try to figure out exactly how much you need without taking it all out. So now we got to really start analyzing some tricks that we can have. Well, I call it the 45-day rule. Your float should be able to last you 45 days. Now, your float is how much you need in the bank to cover all your bills, your rent, your different payroll expenses, your marketing expenses. So basically, everything that's going to cost you. I like to use a 45-day routine because I believe from the second that you get the job to the second that that money comes in should be no more than 45 days. Call comes in, 4 or 5 days to finish the job. You have to be invoicing on the fifth day. I always have a rule of thumb with the companies I work with. Our process usually tries to be, if we have the project done and we're handing them a COC, we're handing them the invoice with the COC. So that now gives us about 40 days to collect that money. Most of us don't collect the money right up front from the homeowner. I understand that. Most of us wait for the insurance company to issue whatever they're going to issue, and then they're going to send the checks out. But that gives us 40 days. We should be able to turn our money around every 45 days. All the jobs we do should be collected in that period of time. So we should need no more than 45 days before the money we've laid out for that job is being recouped back. So I think you understand what I'm saying. Let's use the 45-day rule. But here's what I wanted you to do now. Think about 45 days. How often does that happen in a year? Well, there's 8 45-day periods in a year. So just doing simple math, you can use that money for your float 8 times over in a year. So how much float do you need? Well, let's think about it. If you're a company that does $1 million of business a year and you're making a small profit, let's call that $800,000 of expense. Okay. If you've got $800,000 of expense and there's 8 segments to a year, that's pretty easy math. You need about $100,000 of float. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're $1 million company, $100,000 of float is 10% of your revenue. For most of you, that could be a whole year's profit that you need sitting in the bank. So let's think about that. Let's plan that out, and let's make sure we understand going forward. The concept of float is what keeps us going through the slow times, but we have to have a process for collecting in 45 days. I'm going to talk about that on our next video. Thanks.